it is still very awkward for me to record when someone else is around. Hello, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel, on Instagram, on Ravelry, and pretty much everywhere else on the interwebs. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about all the knitting, all the sewing, all the making, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down this week. And I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe wherever you are in the world. It is, I don't know, like what, week 3 of being inside, staying home, and being quarantined. Not that I'm in quarantine, but for the most part, just staying at home. And I don't know, the days are just blending together. I don't have any concept of time anymore, as it seems. But anyway, as I mentioned last week, Dennis and I are staying home. I am still up and running for business. Voolenvine Yarn's my hand-dyed yarn company. So thankfully, just being a one-woman show allows me to stay up and running. And of course, I'm taking full precaution when it comes to keeping a spotless studio and washing my hands often, especially when handling yarn and packaging yarn. And of course, like if I do get sick, I immediately will stop working altogether and keep you guys posted about that. But knock on wood, I am doing well. I will say that my knitting mojo has kind of been in the dumps these past few weeks. If I could describe it, I would probably say that I have a touch of ennui or melancholy, where I just don't feel like working on projects that I currently have going. I think, honestly, I'm not being hard on myself. I'm letting myself just feel the feels and, you know, work on what I want to work on. You know, when I do hit knitting slumps, as I do occasionally, I just, you know, embrace it and just kind of work on something else, like, you know, either sewing or embroidery or spinning or, you know, just something else, you know? Anyway, that's how I've been feeling a little bit lately. How are you guys doing? You know, let me know in the comments below, because for sure I know that I'm not alone when I say that. So anyway, yeah, and I am talking a little bit lower this week because Dennis is actually downstairs working, and it is still very awkward for me to record when someone else is around, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get over that. But anyway, I'm gonna power through this. Anyway, as I mentioned, because I haven't really felt like knitting lately, but anyway, as I mentioned, because I haven't really felt like knitting, I don't have too much on the knitting front this week to share with you, but I do have some sewing. I think there will always be sewing. And yeah, so I have some sewing to share with you, and what else? A couple of announcements. So as far as announcements are concerned, we have our history make-along that is happening. It is a year-long make-along where we make all things historical, basically. They can be historically accurate, historically inspired, anything previous to the 1950s. So pretty much the only guideline to this make-along is that you post over in the Voolenvine Ravelry group, where I created a thread specifically for the make-along. Just share your projects, join in the conversation, you know, share links to patterns, be it sewing, knitting, crochet, whatever craft you are into. You are welcome to join. Whips are completely welcome. And yeah, the only other guideline is that whatever you're making has to be inspired previous to the 1950s, just as a cutoff point, if that makes any sense. But yes, I've been having so much fun partaking in that group, seeing what you guys are sharing. You guys are doing so much research when it comes to pattern suggestions, and some of you have already finished projects, and yeah, it's just so inspiring. So, you know, I'm so excited to see where this make-along goes. So yay. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I believe that is it for announcements. So I'm gonna get into what's on my needles. All right, so the only knitting that I have to share with you this week are my Spousal socks, the socks that I'm knitting for Dennis. And here we are on the second sock. So we have 2 socks. So first sock is complete, and now we are almost done with the second sock. So yeah, I've basically been working on these while watching TV, and they've just been, you know, I mean, it's just stockinette in the round and the round and the round. I don't have to think about anything. My hands just stay busy and they go. Because a lot of the other projects that I have currently on the needles, they're not very autopilot, so to speak. I have to pay attention to them, and I don't know, my heart's just not in it, and I just don't feel motivated or compelled to work on them. So I think ideally what I do need is a new cast on. I mean, that it goes without saying. You know, I do want to keep my hands busy, but I just want to be on autopilot. I want to watch podcasts. I want to binge watch TV on Netflix. I just need an autopilot in it, and I think it needs to be shiny and new. So I think I'm going to cast on, I don't know. I do want it to be functional. I do want it to be useful and practical. So I might cast on a cardigan or a sweater, something that I can just chuck on during the summer for chilly nights or what have you. I was looking at the Timely cardigan, and it's just a very simple stripy cardigan. And while I do want to make something that's historically inspired, you know, for the history make along, I'm not quite sure the Timely cardigan fits into that category because it's a very, I guess it's a cardigan. There are so many cardigans throughout history, but it's kind of, as the name suggests, timely. It's very timeless. So I guess it does, you know, fit into the category. I haven't decided yet, but at the end of the day, even if it's not, I think I might just go ahead and cast it on just because I think it's just what I need right now. And I could probably get creative and find a way to make it appropriate for, or not appropriate, but fit into the guidelines of the history make-along. I keep wanting to say histamol, but histamol just sounds like a medication. Oh, goodness. All right, the history make-along. So anyway, more on that later. I haven't decided what yarn I would use or if I really do want to cast it on. I'm still kind of going through my Ravelry queue, but that's the one that sticks out at me at the moment, so we shall see. But yes, here is where I am with Socks for Dennis. This is my hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns in the Manderley colorway, and the base is my Footsie base, which is 80% superwash blue-faced luster and 20% nylon. Yeah, so these are almost done. I'm probably gonna finish these over the weekend and call it a day. And yeah, so yay, Spousal socks, making progress on those. Alright, so as I've been mentioning throughout the episode for the umpteenth time, my knitting mojo is in the dumps. So at the end of the day, after I'm done working, I don't really know what to work on. Of course, I do have sewing, and thankfully that mojo, my sojo, has been going strong. So yay for that, but at the same time, I only have time to sew on the weekends. You know, when I'm done working, it's usually later in the day and my energy levels are just low, and let's face it, sewing is an event. So you've got to spread out, you've got to pull out your sewing machine, your tools and everything and spread out. I ain't got time for that at the end of the day. So, you know, I do have crochet, and I have been dabbling in crochet and sticking with it, and it's just, I will be totally honest, it's not relaxing for me. It's quite frustrating, to be honest, and right now I just don't need to be frustrated. So I have been thinking about getting back into needlework. So by that I mean either cross stitch or embroidery. So I have dabbled in cross stitch. I'm not too crazy about it, but at the same time I have been wanting to hone my skills in embroidery. So I haven't really tried my hand at that. So I thought I might, you know, I did place some orders on Amazon to stock up on shipping supplies and stuff for my business, but at the same time I did stock up on some embroidery tools. So I did pick up some embroidery linen, and I'm not sure what the count is for this, but the thread count, I don't know. It's basic embroidery linen. I know DCM is the brand that you're supposed to go for. It's the, I don't know, whatever. It's the choice of all embroiderers or needle crafters. However, I don't know, for 20 bucks, and I'm just dabbling. I don't want to get too serious into this because I don't know if I'm going to like it. I just got a whole pack of embroidery floss that was like $20. I think there are like 250 colors in here. And then I wanted to get an organizer for it just so I don't have it floss everywhere. So I got one of these things, but I didn't realize that it came with actual embroidery floss in it. So I better like embroidery. I did stumble on a couple of Etsy shops that have some PDF patterns. And I did get some carbon transfer paper to transfer patterns onto the linen and everything, so I'm all set. You know, if the apocalypse does in fact happen, I am all set with an alternate craft other than sewing, knitting, weaving, and whatever crafts I hoard in my craft room. So that I would share that with you guys. But yeah, if there are any embroiderers out there, I guess let me know where a good place to start is. I'm curious. I do have embroidery needles, so that's good. I do have a needle minder. I do have a Q-snap, so, you know, I'm all set. But as far as patterns, what are your favorite embroidery patterns to start out with? Let me know in the comments below. Speaking of which, beginner patterns, I did start putting out some bonus videos for you guys, so I hope you guys have been enjoying that so far. And yes, the feedback that I have been getting about those videos have been wonderful, so thank you. I'm so glad that you guys have been having fun with those. I've been having fun making them. And yeah, I did put out a video, I'll pop it in the doobly-doo, sewing patterns, 10 sewing patterns for beginners, because I do get asked that quite often, so I made a video about it. If you are into sewing, and ooh, sorry, I got distracted by a bird out my window. I've been inside too long. But that said, let's move on to sewing. Oh, kitty. Hi. Say hello. As for sewing, I have a finished object, but it's not quite finished. I actually need your advice again, guys. All right, so over the weekend, I made this pattern. It is Butterick V6685, and yeah, you're looking at first glance, you're probably like, Kristen, this really isn't your style. But wait, but lo, yes, it is. It has grown-on sleeves, which I'm a huge fan of, and then I got the idea to add some embroidery, haha, see where the embroidery comes in, to the neckline, just as a decorative, historical flair to it. So I finished it, and here it is. It's white, totally out of my comfort zone, but the plan was to embroider the neckline and then dye it with either tea or coffee grinds. First mistake was, well, so in order to transfer the embroidery pattern onto the neckline, I used carbon paper, and that was probably a really bad idea since it's white fabric. And I did put it through the wash, and it faded a little bit, but it didn't go away completely. You can probably see a faint dark line underneath my stitching, which is really unfortunate because I'm actually quite proud of the stitch work that I did on this. And I know it comes out because I did do a test on a scrap piece of fabric, and then, you know, it took a little finagling and a little bit of work to get it out, but it does come out. However, I think the thread that's on top of the carbon tracing is preventing it from actually coming out completely, and I think it does need a little bit of abrasion to get it out fully. So, hive mind, if there is a way to, you know, if you know of a way to get the carbon markings out of white fabric that has been embroidered on, please let me know in the comments below. I am stumped. I'm completely stumped. I did let it set. I did try rubbing some dish detergent on top of it and letting it sit for a little bit. It faded it a little bit more, but nothing to have a big effect on it. I will be honest, it didn't take me forever to make this. I would say the embroidery took me about maybe a full day, and then the rest of the top came together in, I want to say, under 2 hours, save for the hand stitching that I used on the to hem the sleeves. So yeah, and you know, again, it was a super quick pattern, really quick to whip up, but I did pull out all the stops when it came to construction. So I used French seams at the shoulder seams, and then for the facing on the inside, it's a little jaggedy, but I used pinking shears to kind of keep it historical. But I think in hindsight, I should go back and just run a serger over it, because it is fraying just a little bit. Anyway, I figured it would be a really nice summer top to go with an Edwardian walking skirt. And, you know, again, highly recommend this for beginners as well. So if you're new to sewing, this was a quick, easy make. But yeah, worst case scenario, if I can't get the carbon markings out, I'll just make another one and just go lighter on the carbon tracing. Or if you guys know of another method, I think maybe disappearing ink might be the way to go. The only thing about disappearing ink is that it has a tendency to fade over time, so, you know, which is, yeah, a plus, but I don't want the pattern to fade before I'm actually done stitching it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the pattern that I got this from is actually from I found this Etsy shop that has all these PDF antique embroidery patterns. It was really inexpensive. I believe it was like $2.99 for the whole book, and you get many different patterns. And basically I just chose the pattern that I wanted, brought it into Photoshop, blew it up a little bit, up the contrast, and then printed it out on my printer, and then traced over it using the carbon paper. So that worked out really well. And I think I'll do that again for any future embroidery patterns that I make. But anyway, yes, that is my finished object for this week. This weekend, I am going to endeavor to make a skirt. So I have two patterns on my radar right now, and this one I cut out the pattern pieces but didn't get around to actually cutting out fabric. So I might make this over the weekend. And again, this is McCall's M8044, and yeah, it definitely has kind of like an Edwardian flair to it with, it's a, a long skirt with a ruffle at the end and buttons on the side. So, it has a bunch of different views. If you're not into the Edwardian style, it does have a shorter version and, a longer version without the ruffle, but I am here for the ruffle. So I might make that. The other one that is on my radar, I'll pop a photo of it here. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's by Sewaholic Patterns, and it's just a long maxi skirt with kind of like a V detail at the top. Like there's a yoke to the waistline, if that makes any sense. Anyway, you'll see it in the photo. But I did purchase some fabric from fabric.com. I think will be perfect for it, and here it is. So stripes, completely out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I believe it's a cotton linen, or it might just be linen, but it's white and gray stripes, and I think it'll be perfect for that pattern. I do have some other fabric in my stash that I was thinking about. So this has been sitting in my stash for a really long time. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but it's just a really cool stripy quilting cotton fabric with a very fine line of metallic gold going throughout it. And I got it from fabric.com. It was like super cheap on sale, so I got like five yards of it. I think it was like $5 a yard. So yeah, I've just been hoarding it, as you do. So I haven't decided which one I want to go for, but I might. It's a little more stiff than I'd like for that pattern, but I might go with this. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I plan on making this weekend. So nothing like historically accurate or anything, but inspired. So that's what I'm going for. I really just at this point want to build up my summer historically inspired wardrobe, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what is turning in my head at the moment. So yes, anyway, I think that is it for sewing and the making content of the episode, guys. I know it's a little sparse this week, but it is what it is. But anyway, hopefully I will come back next week with some more stuff to share with you, some more inspiration. Taking a little break from, the normal is okay, I think. So I'm letting myself do that, letting myself explore other things this week. And, I'm completely fine with that. I hope you guys are too. But hopefully you got some ideas from this episode and are inspired to make some of your own things this weekend. Thank you so much to everybody who has been encouraging me to stick with watching The Witcher. It's a show on Netflix, and I started watching it with Dennis like a couple weeks ago, and it really wasn't resonating with us. We weren't really getting into it. We were on like episode 3 and just kind of not really excited to keep watching it. So, but a lot of you were saying just stick with it. It's gonna get interesting. Trust us. I will admit it's getting interesting, but I don't think Dennis is really excited about it. I don't think he's really hooked on it yet, and I will be honest, I'm not completely hooked on it myself, but my interest is piqued. I do want to see where it goes, so I'm gonna keep watching, even if he doesn't. So I will keep you posted on that. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm trying to think, what have I been really enjoying? Playing The Sims. Honestly, I do not consider myself a gamer at all, but when I do go through these like waves of, ennui, as I've been calling it, I just want to check out and disconnect, I play The Sims. That's it. It's just, there's something relaxing about building a house and decorating it. And if you're familiar with The Sims, you know that there's a cheat code that lets you have like all the money and you don't have to worry about, say a budget or anything. So it's like you can just buy whatever you want for your house and decorate it make a mansion, whatever. I'm, you know, building your dream house basically. So, yeah, that's just, it's been so relaxing. But I think like after 2 hours of playing it, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I gotta get out of here. So yeah, but yeah, it's been fun just to kind of like check out and play that for a little bit. And I did hear that they are coming out with a knitting or a crafting expansion pack for The Sims. So the Sims will be able to knit. So if I can't knit in real life, I can knit virtually. So, you know, good to know that that will be an option. All right, guys, I'm going to end things there. I hope wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe, you're well, staying creative, and yeah. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe below. I put out a video for your viewing pleasure every Friday. And until next time, happy knitting, happy sewing, happy making, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Bye. Wow, my voice really cracked on that one. Let's try that again. Bye.